Hi guys, and welcome back to yet another video on our channel. And today we will be talking about which Omegas sell good and which ones do not sell as good. Of course, I'm gonna talk about the current models, about vintage. I will go into detail with our experience with precious metal models and also the steel or also with the leather strap and so on. So be patient. And I think we can start right away with what I consider to be one of the best starter watches, the Seamaster 300 Professional. So it's called SMP 300, Seamaster Professional 300. And you can get this watch in pretty much every color that you want. You can get it with a blue bezel, with a black bezel. You can get it with a white dial, with a blue dial, with a black dial. The Seamaster 300 sells extremely good because the thing is, it's fairly priced on the market. You can get it for around 4,000 euros in an almost new condition with box and papers from last year or 2023-22, and the watch is very versatile. You can wear it to work, you can wear it also on vacation. If you have a big collection with a lot of expensive watches, then you might prefer to have an all-rounder with you when you go to vacation. This watch is very robust and you can do pretty much everything with it, and I believe that is also the reason why it sells so good. And yeah, it's pretty much a mix of different points. It's, as I said, versatile, it's fairly priced on the market, and the thing is, the list price is pretty high as with every Omega, and only a few people buy it new because they lose a lot of money when they try to resell it. So if you have a new one, even better, you can sell it very, very easily. And if we're talking about Seamasters, about the Professional 300, then we have to talk about other Seamasters as well. The next thing I will talk about is the Planet Ocean. And with the Planet Ocean, it's pretty hard to tell if it sells good or bad. We mostly sold the vintage ones, and there we had almost every variation. You had it with the orange bezel, we had it also with the black bezel, with blue bezel, with the ceramic, the newer ones, and with alloy bezel. And I can tell you that we sell the vintage ones a lot better because the price is lower. You can get them for as much as 3,500 euros up to 4,500 euros. And if you want to have a new one, especially if you get the chronograph, you're gonna have a bad time selling it. In our opinion, the vintage ones and the normal one, not the chronograph, sell the best, especially if you have the 42mm variation and not the, because I know that they have also very big models, and the best Planet Oceans to sell are the ones with the reasonable sizes. So if you have the very big ones, of course you might find the right client for it, because you also have some clients that have really big wrists. But for the majority of people, I think 42mm is the way to go, and that's what we also consider to be selling best when it comes to Planet Ocean. The next one that we have to talk about, if we're talking right now about Seamasters, is of course the Aqua Terra. And the Aqua Terra is, I would say, what Rolex tried to do with the Oyster Perpetual is what Omega tries to do with the Aqua Terra. You have it in almost every size. You have it for ladies in pink and in purple. You have it in red. You have it in blue, in black, in white. So you have it in a lot of colors. And the Aqua Terra is, in my opinion, easy to sell if it's a simple color, a very simple color like black or blue. If you have it in white, for example, it's harder to sell. And if you have it in a good size, because if you have it in a lady size, the lady size is harder to sell. I think the men's size, this is a watch that I think mainly men buy and wear, of course. So the Aqua Terra I would consider to be pretty much easy to sell only if it's absolutely simple as it gets. And that makes sense, because you know, if you buy an Aqua Terra, then you don't expect it to be flashy with colors and a lot of details. You expect it to be very classic and very decent. You don't see it too much. It's not too loud. It's a very silent piece. So that makes sense why the Aqua Terra would only sell if it is in a very simple colorway. So next off, I think what most people would expect when we talk about Omega will be the Speedmaster line. And there I have to make the differentiation between the Moonwatches and also about the other classic models like the Speedmaster 57. Then you also have the the ceramic thing, also the dark side of the moon, for example. So to begin with, the most popular Omega there is, it's pretty much the Moonwatch, of course, and the one that we sell the best is the Sandwich Sapphire, so the one with the sapphire glass on the case back. We sell it extremely well, it's easy to sell, and the margins are very thin, but the market is really stable, so you don't have to guess for what price you can sell it. You know exactly, I buy it for this price, I sell it for this price. It's a very easy piece. I would consider it almost equal to, for example, the very simple Submariner date from Rolex. So the Speedmaster Sandwich Sapphire is easy to sell. If we're talking about the other one with the solid steel, with the Hazelite glass and the solid steel case back, it's also better, like it's easy to sell but not as easy. Most people will go for the Sandwich Sapphire, so we prefer that one if it comes just to sell quickly. Then we have to talk also about vintage, because the vintage Speedmasters, in my opinion, do not sell as good as the modern ones. Of course, there are some expectations. For example, if you have the big suitcase box that the previous model had, then this is an argument why people buy it, and we sell it also fairly good. But if you go back in time to the real vintage Speedmasters, then you will have a hard time selling them for a top price. Mostly you have to sell them below market price, and it's gonna take some time. So for the Speedmaster Moonwatch, I would prefer the modern ones, just because they sell better if you need to sell them. And then if we're talking about the dark side of the moon, there it depends. Of course, you can sell it. It's not as a hard watch to sell, but the price needs to be right. So if you try to get the Chrono 24 price for it, you're gonna have a bad time. So you have to have some space for negotiation, and then you can sell it pretty easily and pretty solidly. So you won't have too much trouble doing that. Then the next thing, the next Speedmaster I will talk about is the Speedmaster 57, and I will also include all the other Speedmasters, very special sizes with special case forms, with special bracelets, or if they come with a leather strap. And the thing is, as soon as the Speedmaster does not look like a Moonwatch, it gets exponentially hard to sell it. So the traditional Speedmaster client, Moonwatch client, will always look for the classic Speedmaster Moonwatch appearance, and if it's a little different, then you're gonna have a hard time selling it, with one exception. And this is a big exception, because it looks completely different. It's the white dial steel Moonwatch Sandwich Sapphire, which we sell even better than the normal one, the black one. But this can also be just because of the hype, because it's very popular right now, because it's a very hot model right now. So I don't want to be too strong in my opinion for that one. Right now we sell them very good, very fast. That could change once there are more models on the market. So let's wait to see that. And I want to highlight here is that I will also talk a few words about the precious gold models, about the Sedna gold, which is the rose gold, or the Canopus gold, which is the white gold name for Omega. The thing here is precious metal Omega watches sell very hard, because you spend a lot of money, of course. After all, it's gold or platinum or whatever, but people are not ready to spend that much money on an Omega in average. Of course, there are some people that really appreciate the brand, that really prefer it even over, for example, Rolex or other brands. So some people will always be interested in them if the price is right. But the thing is, for example, to sell a white gold GMT Master, that takes us for around 2, 3, 4 days. If we're talking about the white gold Speedmaster Moonwatch, that takes several months, and we're talking about really good prices, 30-40% below the list price, about almost new conditions. So it's not that we try to sell destroyed or very worn watches, we're trying to sell almost new watches for a lot below list price, but this is hard to do. So in my opinion, if you really want to buy one, then always talk about the price, try to get the best deal that you can, even if it's from us. Of course, we are always ready to talk about the prices on our precious gold Omega watches, and we almost always have some room for negotiations. So I think that's also how most dealers out there work. You don't buy them with thin margins, because it's gonna take some time to sell it, and you need to be able to sell it for a very, very strong price if you can't sell it immediately or after a few weeks or months. The next thing I will talk about, now I think we're done with the Speedmasters. Of course, there are some other models, for example, the 38mm ones. We're talking about the reduced, about the vintage ones. The reduced is a watch that you sell very good, very easily. But the thing is, if we're talking about the modern ones, the Speedmaster dates and so on, hard to sell. Like very hard to sell compared to the classic Moonwatch. Now I want to talk about another model that most people forgot. It's a Constellation, and the Constellation, we had it a few times in store. One thing that I learned is that the modern ones are not so easy to sell. You need to sell them a lot below list price, and the chrono prices are mostly over the top. So you need to be able to sell it for a very, very low price, and of course it needs to be in a very, very good condition. Now the difference, if you have, for example, Constellation on a leather strap, we had it a few times on a leather strap and vintage and older, and you sell them around 2,000 or 3,000 euros, that's a good thing to sell. You can sell it easily because most people, when they want to buy a luxury watch, they will look for the known brands like Cartier, Rolex, Omega. And with Omega you have the thing that you can get, for example, a vintage Constellation for a very small budget, and you still have something high quality with a good design, nice design. It's a good name on it, Omega. I mean, you cannot talk bad about Omega in the end of the day. It's a very good item to buy for a very small coin. And this also is the case with the next model, and you can take what I just said and duplicate it one-on-one with the next one. And the next model I want to present to you is the Ville. And the Ville, which is considered to be the dress watch of Omega, is a pretty nice watch to get if you don't have a high budget and you want a dress watch and you want to have a good name on it, as the Constellation, but in a dressier way. And once again, if you have it in precious gold modern, as we have it right now in store, you need to be very careful for what price you buy it. You need to be careful from where you buy it, how the condition is, and if you have box and papers and so on. It's harder to sell the more expensive it gets. Of course, as with every brand and every model, you can sell them. But it's a matter of price, it's a matter of quality, it's a matter of how good does the watch work, did it have a service if it's 10, 12, 15 years old, or do I need to calculate it for later? So people think about these kind of things when they're buying a watch that is so price sensitive. That is why these watches are harder to sell, but the thing is, and that's I think what I want to close the video with. The thing is, every watch is easy to sell if the price is right, and every watch is easy to sell if you find the right client. And the right client is someone who is interested in a watch with a specific design, with a specific story, and that's why I believe that we never had trouble selling an Omega in the end of the day. Of course, it took some time, sometimes it worked faster or slower, but in the end of the day, we never had trouble selling it, and I believe that's the magic behind Omega. Pretty solid watches, you have a good quality, and the price is mostly fair. Guys, and that's the video for today. Thanks for watching, and if you didn't do so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also don't forget to give us a thumbs up and follow us also on Instagram. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.